Hello, good evening, and welcome to Sports Today. The very first ODI of India versus Australia wraps up, goes in favor of Australia. The hosts dominate. I welcome Deep Das Gupta and Pragyan Ojha. Good evening, gentlemen. Welcome to Sports Today. And what a performance by the Aussies. Deep, your take on the match?
I think obviously we spoke about the depth yesterday. Ridhima, you and I were doing the preview, and that depth was the difference. Both depth in bowling and depth in batting, whether it was the batting depth or the bowling depth, and that's where I think Australia is ahead of India at this point in time. But a good game. 375 was never going to be easy, but at least give it a really good try. The Indian batters.
Yep. Confident David Warner out there. Let's start with the Aussie innings. Pragyan, a confident David Warner, a Glenn Maxwell that we didn't see in the IPL, of course, his home soil. We were talking about him yesterday. I was speaking about him to these, his home soil. ODI is his format. So a confident Aussie side in terms of batting, David Warner, Glenn Maxwell, Aaron Finch.
Yes, actually, when you're playing for your country, I think the emotions are different. When you wear that your national jersey, I feel the responsibility and the accountability is more. You talk about franchisee cricket, the involvement and all, but when you talk about the country or your state side, it's totally different. And saying that, I think they really played well, and when you're playing at home, there's always that that X factor. You've always been there. The wicket, the bounce, what kind of shots you can play, what are the shots you can't. In India, ball at times it keeps low. This year IPL was in UAE, but over the years, if you see, the wickets they turn. But if you talk about Australia, there is true bounce. There are few balls. If you see Smith or David Warner, the balls were not that too short. They're just short of good length, but they were trying to cut those balls because they trusted the bounce. It's their home soil, so they know what is their strength and how do they build their innings. That's the only reason I feel, when you're playing at home, you are comfortable. It's it's your ground, you own it. That's all I can say.
I know that the 300 plus score anyway looked like a really tough deal out there. And what an Aaron Finch, we spoke about him yesterday as well. He started in his own rusty way, but went on to put up his 17th ODI century.
Yeah, I think very well managed. I mean, that's exactly what he was trying to do in the IPL as well, trying to manage. But in IPL, listen, it's a 20-over game. You don't have too many deliveries. Here, at least, because it's a 50-over game, you can take your time. You can play a few dot balls. You can see through a few bowlers if you are not comfortable with, especially someone like Bumrah, whose natural angle is to get it into him. But credit to him. He obviously was looking rusty, was not looking at his fluent best initially. But credit to him for making it work, for hanging in there. And then in the end, when he was set and when the spinners were on, he was his usual Aaron Finch style of batting we saw from him. A lot of credit to him. But again, having said that, if I may quickly add, I don't think the Indian fast bowlers bowled well enough today.
Yeah. I mean,
the exception is Mohammad Shami. He looked like totally in good control. But if you talk about Bumrah, he had an off day. If you talk about Saini, he had an off day. And spinners, when you're playing in Australia, they're not going to give you tracks which is going to assist you. So it's very important. If you talk about the spinners, Chahal and Jaddu, I know you have those field restrictions. You need to have those 5 fielders in the ring. Saying that when you're bowling to a left-hander, you cannot have a sweeper, extra fielder outside. So maybe because of that, they were bowling on leg stump. But if you look at Zampa, see, I'm not trying to say that, our spinners are not good, but you have the best way to, understand the ground is when you're playing against a home side, you see what kind of plans they have, how they attack your batsmen. That's the easy way to understand. I think this is a very good example for both our spinners, because if you see, Yuzi and Jaddu were bowling more on leg stump to David Warner and to the left-handers. But if and when you talk about Zampa, he was bowling on middle and off. When he got Shikhar's wicket, you see where he was attacking and see the field. He had mid off up. And for us, we never had any attacking field. I strongly believe when you talk about winning or losing, middle overs, they decide where the game goes. And that's where, first thing, initially we didn't get breakthroughs. And then in the middle overs, the spinners were just bowling. I couldn't find any plan, they were trying to stick to. Maybe a slip or maybe a mid off or mid on up where you're challenging the batsman, because they have already built a very good partnership. So what do you have to do? You cannot go with the motion. You have to try a few different things. That's what Zampa tried. He was getting hit. Hardik was going after him. But if you look at his line and length, it was always pitching on the stumps. But for our spinners, I think they could have been little more attacking.
Well,
Okay, if I quickly add, one, Shami bowled well. I'm not denying that. But how many balls were hitting the stumps? My point is, in the first spell, you have to attack the stumps. I thought the Indian bowlers were too short. And straight away, if you're not hitting the stumps, you're taking away bowled and you're taking away leg before. So you're straight away, two options are gone. And that's where I thought, even Aaron Finch, how has he got out? He's got out either leg before or bowled when the ball comes in. So if you're not going to hit the stumps, chances are you're not going to pick a wicket. The chances are coming down. That's one. And obviously, if you're not taking wickets initially in the first 10, Pragyan will tell you it puts extra pressure on the spinners then. Because when the spinner comes on to bowl, it's 80 without loss after 10 or 85 without loss after 10. Then as a spinner, you are defensive. As a bowler, you are a little more defensive. Then you're thinking, okay, I have to pick wickets, but you know what? They're going at 8 and over. You got two set batsmen batting on 40 each or whatever. And then it becomes a different ball game. And as compared to a 80 without loss and 80 for 3, when someone like Zampa came into bowl, India were 100 for 4. So comparatively, the work becomes easier for anyone who comes in, whether it's a spinner or a fast bowler. And that's where I thought the opening spell of all three fast bowlers could be in control, but tad bit short, should be fuller. That's what I think.
Actually,
when you're playing for the country, it never comes easy, especially when you're playing abroad. As you said, fast bowlers. I can't be harsh on Shami. He bowled well, but saying that Bumrah, it was an off day for him, and Saini needs to understand that he has to bowl on stumps. I felt he was little more away from the stumps and he was giving that room to the batsman. Saying that spinners, if you see our track record, whenever we have played abroad, it's never easy when the spinners have come on to bowl. It's always a similar situation. They are say 100 or maybe 80 for 1, where the batsmen are set. That's when you need to get those wickets. That's where you need to pick up those wickets. How many times we have seen outside subcontinent Indian bowlers come into bowl where the score is 80 for 3 or maybe 100 for 3. Very, very few times, especially against Australia or maybe against England, because that's how they plan their innings. It's very clear. Nowadays, 50 overs, all the teams, what they do is that they have divided the overs. First 10 to 15 overs, they just want to build it and make a stage for their middle order batsmen, and then they change the gear. And when you look at the last 15 to 20 overs, they play like T20. That's where they want to have their wickets to go after the bowlers. So we also need to plan few things, because cricket is evolving. So now every time we go abroad and play, this will be the situation, and our spinners need to find out ways to get those wickets, because they are quality bowlers. Yuzi Chahal, if you look at IPL, he is amongst wickets. And the most important point here is we are missing a sixth bowler. Hardik batted brilliantly, but we are missing the sixth bowling option. You look at all the top sides like England, Australia, they have their sixth bowling option. We went with 5 bowlers, so that is one shot. Virat Kohli never had a chance of getting someone who can just give you those 3-4 overs, or maybe a little bit of part-time spinner or medium pacer who can uh, mm, try and get you wickets. We have seen so many times, when your main bowlers don't get you wickets, at times you try and get your part-time bowlers, like Kedar Jadhav was there. He used to get those 1 or 2 wickets for you, or maybe try and disturb those batsmen. So this is something we need to plan on, because for a long time we had a debate for number 4, but this is going to be a debate which is going to lead to the T20 and to the next World Cup if we don't sort it out.
Very, very valid points are there. We are missing a sixth bowler for sure, Deep. When will Hardik start bowling?
Oh Lord, that's a tough one. I think you got to ask Hardik about that. You got to ask the physios about it. Listen, the idea is, and we know it. I mean, you need a sixth bowler. I mean, you're playing with fire when you're going out there on good flat surfaces with the new rules in limited overs cricket. You're going in with 5 bowlers. You're playing with fire. That's a huge thing. I mean, that's when I meant what I exactly meant was the depth that Australia has both with bat and ball. They have someone like Cummins coming at number 8 with a bat. You have 7 bowling options there, right? You have Stoinis, Maxwell, Labuschagne. I mean, Manus did not even bowl, right? So he's a bowling option there as well. So they have 7 bowling options. So obviously you got to find a way out of this. And when is he going to bowl? My answer to that would be, I don't know. Listen, he does not have to come and bowl. We don't need the old Hardik back. We just need somebody who can give you 4-5 overs as an insurance. Somebody who can come in and bowl at maybe 130, 132, 133, maybe in the middle overs, but can give you 4-5 overs every game. That's what you need. So maybe we might not see the old Hardik back as the whole Hardik, the bowler back. But I just hope that he starts bowling soon and, maybe not the same, but at least can give you 5 overs. I mean, that just changes the whole scenario then. If somebody is out there who can give you 3, 4, 5 overs. I don't know, maybe someone like Shreyas, he bowls a little bit of leg spin, maybe improves his leg spin a bit, as long as you have those options going.
Okay. Well, we've got another. I thought that Abhin is joining us on the broadcast as well. Okay. All right. Well, since you mentioned we might not have the old Hardik back, and we're also comparing the new and old, I see a very new KL Rahul there. Somebody who's taking his wicket keeping very, very seriously. I mean, his way of reading the batters. I remember he said something to Chahal, "Ghumayega ye ab," and Finch did exactly that. Interesting to see how he's been talking to the batters, and the reason why there is this shift in KL Rahul.
Obviously, a couple of things. One, I think it's been conveyed to him that for the next few years he's the wicketkeeper batsman for India in limited overs cricket. But something that he has mentioned himself, that he wants to do that job till the 23 World Cup. So obviously he's taking it seriously. It's not a part-time thing for him anymore, and neither for the Indian side. That's one. Secondly, he's the vice captain. He has to contribute. And on top of that, as a wicketkeeper, for me, a wicketkeeper is the fielding captain any which way. So I think he's going into that role as a wicketkeeper batsman, and the more he does, we'll see him being more vocal. Now that also the fact that he's the vice captain, you will see him talk a lot more. You will see him contribute in those meetings or mid wicket meetings and all, a lot more. And it's great to see, because I think he's a good captain as well. Is my personal assessment.
Yeah, and to add to Deepda, Deepda can explain this better. When you're playing in subcontinent, what I noticed about Rahul, we can't be too harsh on him, but when you're talking about the country, there are a few things that I saw. Deepda, when you're playing in subcontinent, the ball, after crossing the batsman, doesn't do anything in subcontinent. But when you're playing abroad, Australia, England, ball moves a bit. I've seen few times, KL Rahul not able to, manage that. So that is something you need to address, because, these are the things which will be very important in the, upcoming series. And I think that is something which I felt he needs to work on. He was spot on because he himself has been leading Kings 11 Punjab. So as a wicket keeper, either you are a vice captain or not, it's very important for you to tell the bowlers the way he did today. That you know what the situation is, how the wicket is behaving, what the batsman is thinking. When you start giving ideas about the game, then that it becomes that much easier. Every time we talk about wicket keeper, why we talk about MSD? Because all the bowlers, they had that cushion till MSD was playing. He used to tell you about the field placement, those angles to cut down, what areas to bowl. So many times we've heard. So this is something which KL Rahul needs to work on. These are the two things, constantly talking to the bowler and to the captain, giving the situations, what he feels can impact the game. And the other thing is, the ball. A lot of times when I used to speak to MSD, he used to tell, ball after beating the bat, at times it dips, or at times it just takes off. So that is something which you need to plan. Deepa, please, if you can just throw some light on
See,
this, how
yeah,
how should he go about?
I mean, the idea is it especially happens a lot in South Africa and England because those conditions they move a lot. So as a wicketkeeper, what you do is you don't move. And I've said this before, and a lot of people might not like what I'm saying. Footwork in wicket keeping is overrated, right? The idea is to stay still. The more still you are, the more stable your head is, the better your hands will follow the ball. So especially on these in these conditions where the ball's moving around a lot, you just have to be stable. Watch the ball into your hands. Don't move, because the more you move, you're just putting in yourself in deeper in a deeper hole. So yeah, for me, just stay still, watch the ball, and catch it.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay. All right. Moving towards Australia's innings, we've also spoken about Steve Smith, but I just feel that even though Stoinis got out, and this is the second innings, he did that in the IPL, and again this time here, but it sort of worked in Australia's favor more than it worked in India's favor, Deepan Pragyan, because then came a Maxwell who did not hit a single six in the IPL, and he goes out and hits a six with the very first 10 balls of the game. I mean, everything clicking for Australia today. Also, a poor fielding. Uh, comments on that. Our fielding, Maxwell, a new man altogether on the field. कुछ हमारे
Poor
फेवरेट
fielding,
साइड
as in, see, both the sides were the same. Even Australia dropped a few catches. See, these are the things we are seeing because it's been long that we have played some competitive cricket. See, you cannot compare a T20 with one day cricket and one day with test. You should not be surprised when you see in test matches there are few slip catches being dropped, there are few silly points and short leg catches being dropped, because you've not played. At times you get tired. What have you played in last 8 to 9 months? Only T20 cricket, and that's only for 20 overs. You just bowl 4 overs, you're there for say 90 minutes, and then you're off. So when you're playing one day, the duration is long. You're fielding there, then you have to bowl those long spells. You're there in the ground for longer duration, and then you have to bat. So these are the things you have to get used to. And then fielding, when you're fielding for 50 overs, it's not like T20. The batsman is just going boom 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 and you're expecting catch every ball. In one day cricket, uh, say like 4 or 5 overs, nothing happens, and suddenly one catch comes. We saw Australia doing that. It's because of lack of practice, match practice, not practice, match practice. So this is something we will see a lot now because of the year that we had. That's what I felt. And to be very frank, these are the things we have to give some time to the players, because
Yeah.
they also know that if they push themselves harder, we've seen a lot of players getting injured because the body, the muscle, the muscle memory has gone down. They've not been practicing. How much ever you practice, the match fitness is very important, isn't it, Deepda?
No, that's true. I mean, as far as fielding, I mean, and also the fact that I don't know, maybe there was crowds. It's been a while, but it was just a bad day on the field as far as catching is concerned on either side. Quickly to your Maxwell thing, I think the Maxwell in yellow and Maxwell in any other color is a different Maxwell, right? So maybe maybe CSK should look into getting Maxwell next season.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I mean, that's the reason why I thought Maxwell this IPL was surprising, because the last game that he played for Australia, he got 100. He's got that was one of the best innings that he's played before coming to IPL. And suddenly IPL, it's a different ball game. It was like he couldn't buy a run in the IPL. And then again, first game out of IPL, and you see Maxwell back doing what he does so well. So yeah, I think it's about the yellow color, I guess, the color of the uniform.
Yeah.
I think it's the first, you're playing for your country, and the other one is you are in a comfort zone. IPL, the biggest pressure is when you are picked in an auction, the biggest pick, when your value is too much, that is the added pressure. Every time you walk onto the field, everybody is talking about you. You have to perform, because that's the amount they have paid, the franchise has paid you. So that is the biggest thing. When you're playing for your country, it's just that you have to go and perform. So you don't have that extra burden on yourself. But saying that, how can we miss out Steve Smith? The way he batted, it was pure magic. The way he built himself, that's Steve Smith we know. T20, he's not been that successful, but when you talk about ODI and Test cricket, he's superb. The way he was, those shots that he was playing, he exactly knew what he had to do, when to shift those gears.
Yeah. In fact, our comment section is also buzzing with, please say something about Steve Smith's innings. So,
I mean, that was magic, as Pragyan mentioned, as far as Steve is concerned. Listen, I think we spoke about this. His preferred format would be Test match cricket, and second would be ODI. T20 is not really his format. I mean, as of now, obviously, he's improving every day. But again, today was a masterclass in how you manipulate the field, because that's his strength. His strength is how he manipulates, his reading of the game, his awareness of the fielders around him, what the bowler is trying to do, and making sure that he makes the bowler bowl where he wants him to bowl. Right? And it was an absolute masterclass. He looked a little, I won't say rusty, but not in the same kind of rhythm initially. But once he was set, I mean, he was just having fun with the bowlers, to be honest, and the fielders. He was just picking up gaps for fun. I mean, that's how good he is. Listen, last series when India was there, Warner wasn't there, Steve Smith wasn't there, Manus Labuschagne wasn't the player that he is now. So it's going to be an interesting next month and a half.
It is going to be an interesting one. A couple of changes on the other side as well. India's innings. Mayank has changed his stance, it seems. Is it working in his favor? Pragyan, to start with?
I think, when I looked at him, the way he was batting, he looked in good touch, and he was uncomfortable. As long as you're comfortable and you are confident of it, just go and do it. See, when you're playing for the country or you're playing for a senior team, it's not about your technique anymore, unless you're doing something really wrong. It's about your mindset, and his mindset is very good. He looked that he belonged there. It was not like fish out of water. When you go to Australia, that is a strategy. They will bounce you out, and that's what they did. You need to prepare yourself for that. It was not like it was a faulty technique or something. When I looked at him, he was looking very confident, and even Shreyas Iyer, he's a confident man. He's been doing well. It's just the first game. It's just the first game. Only thing what I would say is, you just prepare yourself, because they are going to bounce you out. That's what it happens in Australia, because the wickets are hard. They will bowl those short deliveries, try and put you in that uncomfortable they will on uncomfortable zones, and then they will create that pressure. So that is something you need to work on, because when you're playing with Kokobura ball, after 10 overs or maybe 12 overs, nothing is going to happen. So to make it happen, what they'll use the hard deck to bump you up. That's what they did.
Yep.
Okay,
And also,
quickly add, Ridhima, is someone like Mayank. It happens when you go to Australia. You know that the bowlers will not pitch it up to you. You will not get too many balls to drive, right? So subconsciously, also there are times when you're thinking, you know what, I've got to be prepared for my back foot horizontal bat shots. So maybe subconsciously at times you might make those changes where your body weight is moving a little forward too early or a little back too early. It might not be a conscious thing. Because you are waiting for that. When you go to Australia, when you go to South Africa, you know there is extra bounce. You know that the bowlers will be pitching a little on the shorter side. And especially in one day, and especially when you have to chase on 375, you're looking at what are your scoring shots. And when you look at your scoring shots, you're like, you know what, the bowler's not going to pitch. Anyways, everyone knows Mayank is a brilliant driver of the ball, right? His cover drive, straight drive are brilliant. Everyone knows it around the world. So they're not going to pitch it up to him. So as a batsman, you're trying to work out your game plan. And maybe he worked out that, you know what, I'm going to play a lot more horizontal bat shots. And maybe subconsciously he's made those changes, or maybe consciously he's made those changes. But as Pragyan mentioned, just the first game. I mean, let's not be too critical. But having said that about Shreyas Iyer, it's not the first time. It happened in the IPL as well. So he's got to watch out. And everyone in the world knows about it now. They knew it. As soon as IPL finished, they knew that Shreyas Iyer against quality fast bowling, against short pitch bowling is not comfortable. Nobody is comfortable when it's coming at 140 and trying to hit you or hit your body. You're not comfortable, but it's something that he needs to work out.
Right. Which also brings me to one of our viewer questions. Let me just take it, because since we're talking about Shreyas Iyer, we got Sahil Khandelwal. Shreyas Iyer needs a solid performance now. It's been a long time we have seen him perform at crucial matches, including the IPL, just what we were mentioning. And I think that sort of answers Sahil's question. Though, do you want to add to that, Pragyan?
The beauty is it's just the first game of the tour. We can't be too critical about a few things. Yes, Deepbhai said, because you've got so much technology working on all the players that even the weakest, smallest things, it's visible to everyone. So what you can do is you need to work. Maybe if you feel that your technique is not good when you're playing pull shot, or people, bowlers who are bowling 140 plus, so you need to work for that. And I feel it'll be too harsh to just point it out on the basis of the first game. Maybe we'll see how the boys they react, or what they do in the next game. Then maybe we can see how it is. I feel it'll be very harsh.
But just to add to that, listen, he's going to get a lot of short bowling. I mean, he has to prepare himself. There's no two ways about it. Because in T20, you can give yourself room and slash it. In T20, you can do that. But in 50 overs cricket, coming at number 4 in the 15th over, you can't do that. Right? You have to.
And in T20, you are allowed only one bouncer.
So that's something that he has to figure out, because I'm sure he knows it. I'm sure he knows it, and especially after today's game, I'm sure it's been telegraphed to him and everyone else around in the world as well.
Yeah. All right. With that, we've got Raju, who's joining us from Australia. Hey, Raju, how are you?
Hello. I'm pretty good. My voice is sort of. I know the mood is not that great here, and I'll try to give you all the updates from here in Australia. What fans are thinking, what fans are talking about in the stands, what they think has gone wrong today, and how we can improve. And excuse me for my voice.
Just put a filter to that and tell me what fans are thinking.
The main thing everyone is talking about is, Indian team's star-studded lineup. The 3 IPL captains, they failed. So everyone is talking about the 3 big names. 3 main IPL captains, the big guns, didn't perform today. And again, as Pragyan and Deep are talking about, first game, we can't be so critical of the team. They will bounce back. We are very confident they will bounce back. We know what happened, what can be improved upon. So it's first game in Australia after quarantine. They haven't really practiced on a real pitch. where they were practicing in Blacktown, it wasn't really a decent pitch, to be very honest with you. So we are very confident team will bounce back. I don't think so things can go worse than from here. Deep, you want to say something?
Can I ask you a question? When did the team get out of that 14-day quarantine period? Wasn't it only day before or something?
Yep. So yesterday was the only day, and they practiced at SCG just
They
for a
practiced
short
at
while.
SCG, right?
Exactly. So one day of practice is not enough. And as I said on Sportstag earlier, team had to adapt from UAE conditions down to Australian conditions, and we've seen that with Ayer. What happened? That looked very ugly on the ground. I don't think so. He struggled that much with short ball, but it looked very ugly today. So team is young. I'm very confident they will bounce back. They will improve upon on today's performance. So the next game on Sunday, it's going to be very hot. It's going to be 38 degrees here. We might get thunderstorm. There might be a rain delay. So fans are excited. We are ready with our sunscreen and everything to go and cheer for India. We are predicting an India win in the next game. Fingers crossed.
We are all.
So are we. So are we, Rajul.
Yeah.
Yes.
But Rajul, what was the atmosphere like first day that the fans were allowed? I mean, first time the fans are back in the stands after the coronavirus pandemic hit the world. So that way, what was the atmosphere like?
Atmosphere was electric this morning. Ridhima, last time when you were here with us in Australia, you did that open top bus thing. So we did exactly the same stuff this morning. We were on open top bus with 25 of us in COVID safe environment, the dholi and everything. And then we passed by the team hotel, and guess what? Team was waving at us. We were waving at them. They were getting ready to come to SCG. So the start was brilliant. And the start Shami gave, our ballers gave in the first few overs was again icing on the cake. But then from there, everything was downhill. But I was talking to Nick Hockley, the CEO of Cricket Australia, just a few minutes ago before joining you guys. And I was congratulating him on behalf of Indian fans. What we are able to do here in Australia is brilliant. The number of fans in the stadium, it's a big number. Everything has been delivered in a COVID safe environment. So fans are happy that we managed to get to the ground to see a blockbuster game, and we've seen how Indian team recovered in the end. So a lot of positives as well, but overall a bit of a sad faces. But as I said, it's not that bad. First game, at least we saw the game and we saw some positives out of it as well.
So if I may ask Rajul quickly in terms of what was the protocols there as far as crowds were concerned or spectators were concerned, was there a lot of protocols that you had to follow?
Yes, quite a lot of changes from previous series, and Ridhima can give more insight into it because she saw what we do on the ground. So we usually bring drums, dhols, a lot of musical instrument, guitar and all that stuff, trumpet. But this time fans were not allowed to even bring whistle because you can blow whistle and saliva can go out and stuff. So no musical instruments. The flag sizes were also sort of contained to 1 meter by 1 meter. Social distancing, ground was only half filled, so 23,000 fans were allowed in the stadium today. And an interesting thing which we've seen in action today, whenever ball was getting hit for 4 or 6s, it was getting wiped off by the umpire, and the players who were throwing the ball in, they were also using hand sanitizers to sanitize their hands. So the things which we've heard in the past, these are the new rules announced by ICC. We saw them in action. So absolutely a unique game. I won't say a historic game, but a unique game after COVID to see all these different things happening.
Yeah, and I think after March, this was the first ODI I think India has played. It's been long. If you see recent past, it has never happened to Indian team. Every year they were busy playing some of the other tournament. But saying that, I'd like
that game was washed out in Dharamshala, so there was no game. So March, March is actually February. New Zealand.
Yeah. So we need to respect that, but at the same time, I'd like to congratulate. I think this is the first game after the COVID. We are getting 50% of the crowd in the stands, isn't it? So I'd like to congratulate Cricket Australia. The way they've conducted, the way everything happened. It is brilliant. Because fans are the most important part of any sport. Today I even tweeted saying that that background noise,
Yeah.
we really missed it, and that's what I just wanted to thank all the fans and congratulate Cricket Australia for this, the way they are conducting.
Yeah. No eerie silence. But correct me if I'm wrong, Rajan. 19 days and not a single coronavirus case in Australia so far?
That number is not correct.
Okay.
So Australia is tracking cases on two different categories. One is the community transmission, and if they find a cluster, they call it a hotspot, and then they try to contain within that cluster. If there is another case outside, then they track it that it's spreading out of it. But there are still a handful of international travelers coming into the country, and they are getting quarantined into certain Medi hotels for 14 days. And we are getting quite a lot of cases there. And when I say quite a lot of cases in Australian terms, 10 plus cases is also a
Exactly.
big number.
Exactly. So that way, it's a fantastic job done out there. Really. But thank you so much for joining in, Rajul, and thanks a lot for keeping that energy going. Hope to catch you soon. I think we're having a bit of a network issue out there. But thank you for joining in, Rajul. Thanks a lot. All right. So, gentlemen, okay, moving on from criticizing, let's go ahead and appreciate Hazelwood for the kind of day he's had. Three
Once
major wickets.
nobody's criticizing, yeah, listen, that is what we
Yeah,
do. We analyze
No,
the
of
game.
course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
No,
nobody's
no.
criticizing no one. This is a
You
game.
know,
One team will win, one team
I'll
will
tell
lose.
you,
That's how it
I'll tell you,
happens.
I'll tell you what I felt. What I felt when Shami was bowling, he was looking well. He had bowled 3 overs. Then I don't know for what reason he was not given the ball. Uh, but if you see, Aaron Finch made sure, when Hazelwood was bowling, he persisted with him. That's when he got those 3 wickets. That's when he got those breakthroughs. So when you're playing T20, the plan is different. But when you're playing ODI or maybe test, the plan is totally different. In ODIs you have got 10 overs, so when you're short of one fast bowler or one spinner, like the sixth bowler we're talking about, so when your main bowler is bowling, you should make sure on a given day, if let it be Bumrah or Saini or maybe Sami, whoever it is, just make sure you give him that one extra over, so that if you pick wickets initially, every match you talk about, any format, if you get those initial wickets, that's when the opponent has to change their plan. When the opponent plays with the plan A, then they don't give you any chance. So you have to make sure to change, put an effort to change that plan A. Once they change their plan A, then you are ahead of them. That's what I feel as a bowler. Just one over more or maybe couple more, just to see if you can get those wickets, because the Australian top order is a very good side. They've got David Warner, they've got Aaron Finch, then they've got someone like uh, you know Steve Smith, they've got someone like uh, um, sorry,
Stoinis, Maxwell. I
Stoinis,
mean, it goes on.
Maxwell. Yeah, exactly. So the best form of attack is, get those wickets. Once you get those wickets, get those guys back in the dressing room. That's when you can, you have gone ahead of them.
Yeah.
And that's where I think, Ridhima, that they were a tad bit on the shorter side. It's an assessment. It's an observation rather, and I think they could have actually bowled a little fuller.
Yeah. I'm sorry. My dog is just sort of
Absolutely not.
felt free to
Absolutely not.
come into the broadcast. I'm so sorry about that. But
Right.
No, please tell him or her that we are not criticizing Indian team. We're just giving our analysis.
I think that's the reason why it's a little right. All right, moving on to something that had some really funny tweets. It was the overrate of, I think, from both the sides. India took 4 hours something to sort of bowl their overs. There was a really funny tweet I saw. I think it was Ronak Kapoor who said, if we keep doing this, Rohit Sharma has enough time to sort of recover and join us.
But the other problem, Ridhima, is I think there are some regulations there that they will have to switch off the lights at SCG after a certain time. I know that's 11:30 or 12 or something like that. So if the games go, I mean, they go on for as long as they have, end of the day, you might not be able to finish the games. They will be asked to shut down the lights. I think
didn't know
it's something there.
Yeah, but saying that, you have to understand. Just a while ago we were speaking. India is playing ODI after Feb. Getting used to the pace of the game.
How long does once again? But again, IPL games, they're supposed to finish by 3 hours, 20 minutes, 3 hours, 30 minutes. How long do they?
Yes. But I'll tell you to sprint for 1 minute. You will do it easily. But if I tell you to sprint for 2 minutes or 3 minutes, that's when your endurance goes down. Especially after a gap.
I agree. Bro.
I understand. As an international side,
very good analogy though.
But
as an international side, I'll tell you, Deep bhai, as an international side, there is no excuse. But at times, when you have not played any cricket, then you play T20 cricket, and then you go on to play a 50-over game. At times your mind is not used to it. It is just your subconscious mind has forgotten at times. You need to, had they gone there, had this quarantine ended 5 days ago, they would have played few games, they would have got used to it. That's what I feel.
Third game, we'll see when they finish. Third game.
Yep. They will. I'm very sure, because it's an international side. We're talking about senior boys, the Indian team or the Australian team. So I think it'll be taken care of. I'm not too worried about it.
I hope so.
Yep, hope so. All right, now we had Raju who joined us. We've got Norman who's joining us. Congratulations, Norman, to you and your side.
Hi, everyone. It's Norman.
Hi, Norman. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Hi, Norman.
How are we all? It's lovely to see you all. We're here live, as you can see, at the SCG. A little bit dark, but I think it's only dark because I think all the Indian fans have already left. I'm not exactly sure why that's the case. They may have lost
Rub it in, Norman. Rub it in, Norman. Rub it in.
Yeah.
Look,
Just the tournament has started.
You haven't heard the best of me. I can gloat quite a bit about Australia. Mind you, it's the first match and we're quite reserved. We know we've got 2 more when we can then have a true whitewash, as we call it.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my God, exactly.
Well,
look at another person joining us.
Yeah. We've got the other person who's going to answer your questions.
Raju Sharma. Oh,
Raju, I'm ready.
Is that a tear I see in your eye? I think you've got a bit of a tear there.
We look towards future, Norman. We don't talk about what happened. Start of the series, 9 more to go. So let's talk about the Sunday's game, I think. We should.
Raju, look, you and I have got a lot to talk about. The very fact that I don't think some of the players actually realised they were out of COVID-19 lockdown. I think they still thought they were there. Some of the fielding efforts I saw today were quite disappointing. And I'm being quite serious here before I want to be jovial. India, to me, weren't able to really show their true worth. We know that. The cobwebs will be out today. I'm expecting Kohli to come back on Sunday with a century. Shikhar Dhawan, a century. And maybe a few changes to the batting order might have helped too. I still think Rahul should have opened. I think that was a mistake, even though obviously he's keeping now as well. He's, to me, the Rohit Sharma for the team. And that's my suggestion.
I'll just add to it is not the problem is not with Rahul. The thing is that Mayank is not used to batting in the middle order. When you put Mayank in the middle order, then you're disturbing the lineup. Rahul is used to it and he's got some experience batting in the middle order. So that is something maybe the team is thinking about. It's not with Rahul, it's with Mayank.
No, I actually do agree with you. I agree with you totally. But I want to just gloat for a minute, please. I've got to gloat. Steve Smith, 100. That's three. 1-0-0. And I think also Aaron Finch matched that as well. But, okay, the biggest surprise to me was the reaction when Glenn Maxwell only got 45, but it was as if he scored a triple hundred out there. The roar of the crowd was absolutely enormous. Do you agree that was amazing?
Really haven't been bad in the last
month. Again, whimpering in the corner.
So I have a comeback for that. I have a comeback for that. So first of all, Cricket Australia crafted the allocation of tickets very differently this time, right? So everything was hardly controlled. So we were not able to really conquer the SPT like we've done in the past. It was evenly balanced. So you heard more Australians cheering this time. It was, as I said, it was evenly balanced. So that was the comeback to that roar. Well, I think you need to be ready, because I'm already talking to Indian fans. They're getting ready. They're doing their gargles to be, coming back hard on Sunday. As you just said, Norman, Virat Kohli and few of the other batsmen will bounce back really hard. So that's going to be the case. I have a question for Deep and Pragyan. From fans' point of view, we are seeing these series as a stepping stone or a practice, shorter format series before the the 4 test matches. And the current issue of Rohit might not be available, and we have that slot to fill in as an opener. What do you think about Shikhar Dhawan at this stage? The way he performed, to me, it looked like he was showing that he can play with that temperament. The test opening slot kind of a batting, a bit of a slow, watchful innings, and he scored well as well. So, what's your views on that?
If I may go first, Rajul, I think that train has left the station. Shikhar, the test player, that's what I think. Again, never say never. You got a couple of youngsters coming through. You have someone like Prithvi Shaw. You have Shubman Gill. I don't think Shubman Gill should open in red ball cricket though. But you have Prithvi Shaw. You have Mayank Agarwal. You have KL Rahul in the test squad as well. And hopefully, keeping my fingers crossed, Rohit will be back after the first 2. But I think I just have a feeling that Rohit will miss the whole series is what I think. Unfortunately, I don't think he'll make it for the last 2 either.
But saying that, I have a different thought process. If Shikhar Dhawan has a lovely tournament like the ODI and T20, I will definitely keep him in the team. It's not like I'm trying to build insecurity, but it's more when you're playing in Australia, when you're playing abroad, it's more got to do with your mental side of the game. If somebody's confident, if I'm saying, I'm talking about like 2% or 3%, because your test team is already ready. I'm not trying to question that, but I'm saying I'll keep him. Maybe you never know. That's what I feel. At times we've seen a lot of teams have done that. The best player who's performed, he's not a part of a certain setup, but they just keep him to make sure that if they need him, they can use him. But I'm not saying there's something wrong with our test side. Test side is very good. Prithvi has delivered. Rahul has delivered. Mayank is brilliant.
And Pragyan, I can tell you what fans were talking about.
Me. Okay. Look, we're so excited here with the win. We're celebrating. Technical issues happen. You realise that. I mean, when you win, things just go haywire.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. Sorry. Someone has to go.
Okay. Rajul, you can go on now.
You're talking
enough. Rajul,
you're doing
go
on
this.
now.
Is that you're doing that because people are being given out? Is that what you're saying? Dismissal.
No, I'm telling you. Remember this. You're going to see a lot of this in the future when the team is warmed up. This was a warm-up game.
No. When Indians gesticulate like when they do that, it's usually to cover the truth. The reality is you lost. Okay.
Yes, you did. So I'll tell you, my friend. It's not how you start; it's how you finish.
Exactly.
I've heard that before. I have heard that before. But look, usually you start 1-0, it becomes 3-0. It's like a momentum shift. I swear. Look, I'm sure Shikhar Dhawan is now talking about going back to Melbourne, where he actually lives, as you probably all know. Where there's no COVID problems down there. Maybe that's where he should be. He probably would enjoy that more. No, I'm not joking. the reality is, you guys are not out of the woods. The fingers up still, Rajul. That's dismissal time. That's dismissal time.
He's trying to dismiss you.
All right, that's better. That's better. Now I understand that.
So, Pragyan, coming back to what you were talking about, right? What we heard or discussed in the stands with fans, everyone was looking at this start and straight away connecting it to the Test series. You know, the way batting sort of collapsed and our overall performance. What fans are talking about, that Shikhar Dhawan performed well in IPL. He is that experienced head. If you're comparing Rohit, who had that experience, absolutely agree with Deep. We have really, really talented young lads in our team, but they are young. They don't have the experience to play in Australia. The kind of shot Shreyas Iyer played today was that lack of experience of playing in Australia, because he's talented. So that's what we all were talking about in the stands as fans. And we were like, the guy, Shikhar Dhawan, is batting well. He's connecting the ball well.
You know, I can connect with you. It's like, you know, we're not sure about Rohit, and then we know for sure that, you know, Virat is coming back to India after the first test. So
Exactly.
saying that, you know, it's a good idea, you know, to have Shikhar there if he has a lovely series there, because his IPL was brilliant. You know, he's got 200s, and then he's got a good start today. And then, you know, you look at his performance in the next few games. Then you can have him. What's wrong in having him with the team? Because
He's
you know,
already
these
fit.
are very different. Yeah, these are very different situations. You know, it's not normal where, you know, a Rohit Sharma takes a flight and straight away plays a game. It's not like that. You have a 14 days of quarantine there. So you need to plan according to that. That's what I feel. You know, when you don't have two of your senior players available, then you can stick to Shikhar, having him there, keeping him ready. You never know when you can use him.
And I have an update on that 14-day quarantine stuff, and Norman will support me on that. You know, that news came out that BCCI requested for Rohit's quarantine period to be reduced from 14 to whatever. That's not going to happen. In the last 9 months, we haven't seen anyone being given that sort of a waiver by Australian federal government. And with the latest news coming out of New Zealand, where Pakistani players were found COVID positive, the whole Indian subcontinent is more of a high alert region for Australia. So relaxation in that 14-day period, I don't think so that's going to happen. So you know, keeping all of these things into our mind, we fans were thinking that maybe you know, Shikhar should join the team. So that's how the question came.
I love your smile, Rajul. It's a beautiful smile. It's one of crying, I know, but that's okay. The crowd today was 17,821. Now, I looked around. I saw a lot of smiles like you've just got on your face there, Rajul, at certain stages. But towards the end, there were a lot of very drooping faces. I think a good 17,000 were Indian supporters, and they were very sad at the end. But you have a great thing up your sleeve. You've got 2 more matches to come. One in Canberra, where it's very political, so you might be able to influence someone there with a certain political angle. I don't know, but the SCG is another location which you certainly will be able to. Look behind me here, you can see I'm at the SCG. Actually, where are you, Rajul? Are you in Sydney? I thought you were here earlier. Where are you?
Actually, I'm in front of Gate C. You are in front of Gate A. So I'm trying to maintain my distance. I don't want to talk about past, as I told you earlier, right? I want to think in the future,
So
the next
if
game.
I look that way, I'll find you down there. Look,
I think we can wave at each other.
A is higher than E. Is that what you're trying to tell me at the moment? Well, you've got to become like Gate A now.
I just want to tell you, you know, we waited for a long time to win a series in Australia, so we can wait for another day in this series as well.
Yes. All right, gentlemen. Thank you so much. Rajul, you do have a fantastic, beautiful smile. I hope that is on in the next game. And Norman, you've got a great sense of humor. I hope you put that sense of humor in the next game.
I look much better in daytime, trust me. The darkness is not doing anything for my looks at all.
No, you guys
thank you
have
so
been,
much. Thanks a lot,
you guys
gentlemen, for
have been
joining in.
brilliant.
Love the fun, love the
Thank you,
banter.
guys.
Thank you so much for joining in. Thanks a lot. Thank you,
Thank you,
guys.
Ciao.
All right. Thank you so much, Deep. Thank you so much, Pragyan. We're so sorry, but we're running out of time. We've already crossed an hour, but what a fun time we've had with all the fans who joined in. And of course, our comment section is buzzing. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. Tough day for India, a great day for Australia, a great start for the Aussie, the host team into this particular series, India versus Australia. India will hope to bounce back. Until then, stay tuned to Sports Today for all the updates.